Everyone, we're back. I got Cousin Rich with me, day 2 of our movie reviews. Let's strap in, dude, for a review.
Strap in for the review.
Strap in for the review. This car review. Put on our 3D glasses. No, I'm not really going to put them on right now.
Got the 3D on there.
So,
Whoa.
Cousin Rich.
Whoa.
What did we see tonight? Before you talk about what your feelings about the movie, just tell us what we saw tonight.
Tonight, our review of the Book of Mormon on Broadway was phenomenal.
Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't.
It's excellent. It's excellent.
Everybody tells me.
Okay, so go ahead. Talk about the movie we saw.
Actually, tonight we're going to be talking about Poltergeist, the revamped version, and we have a lot to talk about tonight, don't we?
We saw it in 3D. We're going to try and hopefully do this in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Really quickly, how do you feel about the original?
Original, absolutely one of the all-time classics. Pretty much anything that's been written or directed or produced by Steven Spielberg is pretty much a knock out of the park, and he wrote the original, and I loved the little girl in the original, and if you know the story behind her, she actually really died after the show. So
well, she was able to be a part of the 2 sequels that I don't want to talk about, but yeah, she was so great as Carol Ann, and the family, Jo Beth Williams and Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson was great.
And Zelda Robin, I can't remember what her name is
the little person.
Little person who
best little person next to the guy that played Willow or Leprechaun.
Yeah, may she rest in peace.
Yes.
But I'm a huge fan of the original 1982 film, directed by Tobe Hooper and of course written and produced by Steven Spielberg. It's a film that was in pretty much, I didn't see it in the theater until later in life, but
really?
My parents, it was one of their favorite movies, and so it was my first real horror film I think I ever saw, because it was rated PG, but it really pushed the envelopes. I think at one time it was rated R, and they really had to try and say, look, we don't have this, we don't have that, but we're trying to get a PG out of this, and they actually got one, thankfully. This is all before PG-13 ever existed. If this movie, the 1982 film was made today in the same exact way, it would be PG-13. So, you know what? I'm not someone who cries and screams when a movie gets remade, because sometimes it can be even better than the original. Perfect example, in 1982, there was a movie called The Thing, which was a remake of a movie called The Thing. And I thought it was much better than the original, even though I think the original is a classic horror film. So, there's sometimes, we can get like something that is revamped, and we just got Mad Max.
Love this one. Fury Road was awesome.
We got that a week ago, which is not a remake or reboot, more of a revamp,
continuing
revamp of the whole thing. So when these are done in the right hands, we can get something very special. So going in there, I tried to have an open mind about this film. I was very excited because I love the original. I was hoping that, my expectations were pretty in control, because I wasn't expecting anything great. I just was hoping that it would be something that would kind of remind me why I just love the original so much, and the whole idea, the concept of a child being kidnapped, because that's the whole thing. I mean, it's a horror film, it's supernatural, but it's about a kid getting kidnapped and his family freaking out. What would you do if you freaked out? This just happens to be weird and supernatural, and there's lots of great stuff in the original. So what did you want to say before we talk about our review?
I want to say that, both of us obviously are biased because we have seen the original, and we saw the original when the original was like basically at the theaters. And so for someone that comes and watches this movie and has not seen the original, I think it has a lot to go for it. But at the same time, that's because you're not picking apart the things that you were kind of from the original that you might have thought would have been done better. And then at the same time, the hard part about a movie like this in today's day and age is the fact that when Poltergeist first came out, the original, it was like one of the original ghost movies. And so, I mean, that's what was so awesome about it. It was like an experimenting of the original way that they were doing like the special effects to try to give us that otherworldly feel with how this would play out if this were real, right? But nowadays you have like 20 ghost or zombie or undead or Satan like type of movies that come out every year. And so there's almost this feeling of like that we're so already like desensitized to this type of like movie scenario that it's really kind of seems like it's played out. And that's kind of the sad thing that I came to, is just kind of like there was no real like for me like ooh woo! Like the original. Oh, come on, man! I'd have to put baby diapers on because I was practically that age to begin with, and that was the only thing out there that could really do that because it was the only movie that had gone to that level yet. Now, since it's every day and everywhere, it's like. It's going to be a great movie if you want to scare your kids, maybe, if they've never seen another ghost movie. But if they've seen a dozen others, which they probably have, this is something to where they're probably going to yawn a little bit. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
I was really trying to give this the benefit of the doubt. As a fan of the original, again, I don't want to be like, oh, can't make sequels, or they can't reboot, or they can't remake movies, because Hollywood's not listening. They don't care. They're just going to do it over and over again. You can complain, and you can find enjoyment in complaining, but I'm not going to complain. As a fan, I was just like, you know what? It's been 33 years since the original. The sequel sucked. But, maybe it's time to tell this story again. And we got Sam Rockwell. We got Rosemary DeWitt. We've got Jared Harris. Great actor Jared Harris, son of Richard Harris. Actually met him a few weeks ago at the Newport Beach Film Festival right here. And he, I interviewed him, and he was trying to say that, they're not trying to make you forget that the original happened, but try and, do it in a different way. And for a while, as I was watching this movie, I was thinking, oh, you know what? I like all this setup. I like the introduction to the family. And I like that they're taking a different approach because this is about a family that gets the house. The first one, I think the first guy was a real estate agent or something, and he was selling houses. But in this one, they're looking for a new house. They're going through some family trouble. So again, they're trying to take a different approach. And I liked some of the different aspects in the first 30 minutes of the movie. I liked where it was going. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is not as terrible, or this is not as bad as
you were predicting.
Maybe I was predicting, or a lot of people were probably saying, people who are as fans of me, but maybe not as forgiving. But then once the Carol Ann, she's got a different name in this, but once the Carol Ann gets captured, and we all know what happens after that, for every step they got right, there was like 20 missteps. And that's how I felt throughout the entire film. I was like, man, this isn't terrible. This isn't a terrible, laughable film. But there's some stuff that was just like questionable of where they went and some approaches they took. Again, for every few steps that they took that were right, and every once in a while there's a really great, maybe a camera move or a little wink to the original. And then there's like 20 things that just really bothered me. And I'm not going to go in detail and ruin it. This is not a spoiler review. But there's just so many things that just was like, no. I appreciate the effort of trying to be different, but that's just downright stupid, silly, or whatever. I do want to say that I like some of the things what happened when, near the end. I like some of the things that happened near the end, especially when we get to see stuff that we didn't get to see in the original film. I don't want to say what happens, but I liked some of that stuff just a little bit. I like that they went there. It didn't really pay off, but I like that they tried to take that risk. But in the end, there was only a few moments where I was like, wow, this actually is working. And then there would be so many moments where it just downright pissed me off. Now, not to the point where I hate this movie. I'll never watch this again. I'll never see this film ever again. Definitely going to continue to enjoy the original over and over and over again and try and forget this movie that I just watched. But it's not a travesty. It does make lots of mistakes, serious mistakes, to make it feel like a very substandard kind of movie. But it's something that if you're not into the original and never seen it, you might find a lot of enjoyment from it. But if someone like myself who loved the original, it's a major step down from that, and just makes me appreciate the original much, much more. And that's all I have to say.
I think you hit it on the nail. Pretty much, I would recommend people go and see the original.
Yes.
And you'll have a real enjoyable movie there. That's a cult classic.
You want to hear some sad things though? I like this director, Gil something. He directed a movie called Monster House, an animated film, and the movie's also produced by Sam Raimi, the guy who gave us Evil Dead, Darkman, and Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. So it just makes me sad that this is what came from everybody that was involved, because there's a lot of talented actors and people that are involved in this film, and
Was there? I saw three.
Sam Rockwell, Jared Harris, and Rosemary DeWitt.
Okay,
There's
three.
some other people that but it's a low key kind of movie. But you know what's so cool? The movie felt like, it was low key and interesting, but it didn't feel like it never expanded into the world. And that's what I loved so much about the original, is like we're in this house, but I feel like I know what's kind of happening on the outside of the world. Yeah. And what's so great about the original is all the reveals of what this really is happening is done such in a unique, interesting way that they're shocking and surprising. And this one, it was just like, oh, we assume that you've seen the original already, so we're just going to throw this out really quick and make kind of fun of light of, the fact that this is what's really going on. I would have liked that the filmmakers, yes, we're making a remake, we're trying to make maybe the same film, but let's take some different approaches and maybe tell a different story. A family losing their child through this supernatural situation, but let's do it in a way that feels somewhat different than the original. And they really made something different in a bad way, but it could have been so much more interesting if they could have took what they had and took us in a different direction, in a way that felt more interesting, more plausible, and more memorable. 33 years from now, we're still talking about 1982's Poltergeist. I bet 35 minutes from now, I'm going to be forgetting this movie.
I mean, yeah, basically it comes down to if you're a really big fan of ghost movies, this is probably not one that will be one that you'll enjoy per se, just because the ones that have been out in the last 10 years, like to me, The Haunting or like what's the other like ghost ones that have come out, paranormal or
activity ones?
Paranormal Activity. Those, like the first ones, were just phenomenal. And this one seems like it's played on the things that it's done differently per se. Like now that there's a little bit maybe more special effects capabilities in this day and age versus the old one, looks like they kind of took it to some of those levels. But everything that you saw has been done in a ghost movie already. So there was nothing out there to really grab you, because like for me, it's like I want to be scared when I go to the movies, and it just it doesn't happen anymore. It's like I'm paying for a fix that I'm not gonna ever get. It's like being a crackhead and trying to get that first chase of the dragon that you're never gonna get again. And I'm saying this because every interview you ever hear of from a crackhead saying that's how he says it. And I feel like that's how it is being a movie buff sometimes, because you go to the movies and you're chasing that feeling that you got that one time, and you want to experience that total, where you just jump out of your seat, you throw your popcorn on the row below you on the people, and your soda drink goes on the guy next to you, or your hot dogs are sprayed out all over the place, and that's because you're just scared SH-less, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just let's try to get a movie that can do that again, because this movie didn't even try to go in that direction. It really tried to play off the old stuff by mixing in some new stuff, as far as new ways to do stuff that's already been played out 30 times before. So in my opinion, I'm gonna have to give it a 1 finger, and sadly I'm gonna show this finger because this is a PG review, but this is not the finger I would normally use, because this is the other finger is the one that I kind of felt like this review deserved.
You hated this movie more than I did. There's some things I really liked about it that brought me back every once in a while, but left me at the end feeling very disappointed. So it looks good. There's some really great scenes of stuff that happens that were kind of creepy. Nothing really scary, but kind of creepy, and some interesting approaches. So I don't outright hate this movie. I'm just never going to talk about it ever again.
That sounds
never going to be
seeing it ever again to me. It's just, let's be honest.
So it's a 2-star out of 4 for me. So 2 fingers out of 4 fingers.
1 finger, and maybe I can get a half another one.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this. In the comment box below, how do you feel about the 1982 Poltergeist? And also, have you seen this one? And I'd be really interested to see if anybody else has seen this one who's a fan of the original, or if you haven't seen the original, and you actually went and saw this one first, will you be willing to go back and watch the original if you were disappointed? I hope that you will.
Way to do it,
I hope that you will. I hope that if anybody sees this and was disappointed, they'll go back and watch the original and hopefully see some of the great magic that I saw when I saw this film.
And I would say the last thing to say, I want to say, if you come out and you feel the same that we did, then I urge you all to start a blog somewhere that we can do a petition to be able to get a refund for our tickets, to be able to have them say, hey, look, we're not going to give you your money back because we never do, but at least then they could at least play the original as a thank you, and I'd be happy to like have my money go back to see on the big screen the original.
There you go. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Bye, everyone.
Hasta luego. Vaya con Dios. Ciao.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and share this video. And also, please check out these amazing movie websites. And if you enjoyed this review, please click here to subscribe to my channel, and also please check out all my recent reviews right here on YouTube. Have a great day, live film, find peace, happiness, and harmony in anything and everything you do, and I'll talk to you at my next movie review.